Most of the applications you'll be using will require you to create and modify and save a file. These can then be reopened using that application or a similar application. It's worth noting that you don't need to have the same application to open the same type of file. So for example, if I have a text document, I could open it in a number of applications. For example, Word, Notepad, WordPad. Same thing for pictures. Pictures can be opened by a range of applications. It's always good practice when you start working on any application to name and save a file, and then to periodically save that file. So let's have a go at doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a very traditional product. It's called Notepad. And there it is. Now, as soon as I open Notepad, you see that it is untitled. So before I'm now going to type anything, I'm just going to go File, Save As. Now, if I did save, that assumes that the actual application, this file, has already been given a name, but it hasn't yet. So for the first time, you should always do the Save As. This now will allow me the opportunity to choose where I'm going to save it. And it has put it as my desktop immediately, and I'm going to keep it as my desktop. Notice it has an extension .txt. All files have an extension. It allows an operating system to know which application it should use to open it. And there's more about file extensions in the Windows 7 classes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a shopping list. Now you'll notice I've removed the .txt. I can choose to type the .txt, but whether I do or not, the application is actually going to add it anyway. So I generally just let the application to do it. You'll see that we have the Save As Type option. Some applications allow you to save it in different formats. For Notepad, as it's such a basic application, generally you'll always save it as a .txt file. But other applications, you might want to save it, for example, a Word document, you might want to save it as a PDF, which is a non-editable type of file. So just be aware the Save As type gives you the ability to save a file in a different format. We're just going to click Save. And you can see that it's appeared now on my desktop. So now whenever I type add content to my document, so shopping list, apples, pears, bananas. All I now need to do is either File, Save, and you can also note there's a shortcut of Control and S, and you hold down Control and then just press the S, release the S, and keep and then release the Control. So that's more of a traditional file open and save. There's a file menu in the top left of your application and it reveals this menu. Let's look at a more modern application. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to now look at WordPad. Both of these applications come free with Windows 7 automatically installed. Here's WordPad. And when I load WordPad, you'll see I don't have the file option in the top left, but there is this icon here, and when I click on that, it reveals a similar sort of menu. We have the Open, the Save, and the Save As. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do Open and visit my desktop, and you'll see that I have the shopping list.txt. Now, in fact, the WordPad application that we're looking at now doesn't save files in a .txt format. It saves them in a .rtf format. You can actually see this down here. But it can open other documents. So what I'm going to do is, if I click on this, I can actually sort as to specifically what extensions do I want to have available in this list. So if I only did the .txt, it would only show me the .txt files. And I click on the shopping list and click Open. And now if I add something else, potatoes, I can then just click on the Save, either in this menu here, or there's a little icon. A disk is a traditional save icon that's used in many applications. Note that it saved it as the .txt format. If I want to, I can now save as a rich text document, a different extension. And when I click save, you will now see that I have two documents. Generally what you'll do is you'll let the application save it in its default file extension. Don't get too hung up on the file extensions, it's more just letting you know and be aware of it. But applications these days are powerful enough to recognize the file extensions and to do all the work for you. And it's explored in some later classes. So there we go, opening and saving files. I think the key thing to take away from this is before you start working on any file, you load up your application and then you save that file and then do periodic saves. Some applications, for example the modern Office applications, Word, Excel, what they'll do is they'll do a periodic save for you regardless of whether you do your saves. It's very, very useful if your computer crashes and you have forgotten to do a save over the last 2 hours. It does ensure that you've only lost normally just the last 10 minutes worth of work. But then what happens if that functionality actually does fail? It's rare that it does, but are you going to rely on it? So best practice is always to create a file as soon as you start working on it.